Very good morning to everyone. Absolutely delighted to host this morning's session on the convergence of traditional finance and crypto on behalf of OpenPayd. First of all, very good morning to everyone. My name is Iana. I'm the Chief Executive of OpenPayd. We are a traditional financial services company, as many would call us here. We're a B2B provider of infrastructure for payments and embedded financial services. I'm absolutely delighted this morning to be hosted by one of our dear friends and partners, Bobby. Bobby is the Chief Executive of Bitstamp for the US and Global Chief Commercial Officer. So, Bobby, please, could you introduce yourself and tell us a few more words about Bitstamp and what you do?
Sure. Thank you. It's great to be here. Good morning, everybody. So Bitstamp, many of you may know, is the longest-running cryptocurrency exchange, founded in 2011. And we have quite a track record and a really colorful history during that period of time. The things you should know about Bitstamp is we pride ourselves on being the most regulated and compliant exchange on the planet. We were the first to get a license, and today we have over 50 licenses around the globe. As Iana said, I'm the US CEO and the Chief Commercial Officer. I've been with Bitstamp 3 years. I did 3 years at Kraken as Chief Commercial Officer, but I have a lot of traditional financial services experience as well from CME Group. I was on the leadership team there, and I was fortunate enough to be the executive sponsor for the CME Bitcoin futures product.
Great, thank you so much. So today we're talking about the convergence of traditional finance world and the crypto world. So, Bobby, can you tell us a little bit more about that increasing interconnection? Obviously, you and I have been witnessing this evolve over the last few years, but I'd be interested to understand what are the key enablers from your perspective for that convergence?
Yeah, sure. So firstly, we've been talking, and I've been thinking about when this convergence is going to happen, but it's here. It's actually happening right now. And I think the key driver of it is institutions getting into the market in a very active way. So just using Bitstamp as a data point, we had 84% increase in institutional onboards this year in the first half versus last year in the first half. And that's kind of happening throughout the ecosystem. And institutions have higher expectations around not just regulation and compliance, but scale, efficiency, et cetera. So there's a lot of ways to pull this together. But one of the challenges is there's a lot of fragmentation still when you're operating like Bitstamp does in multiple jurisdictions, multiple banking relationships, multiple fiat currencies, and that's where we value our partnership with OpenPayd. They help us knit all of that together so that we can be efficient with our customers.
No, thank you. Thank you for that. I guess what we have seen from our standpoint, we obviously help with a number of the exchanges like Bitstamp and the liquidity providers that we see here on the floor. We help bridge that gap with the traditional finance world. So we have developed that interconnectivity to the payments infrastructure. So the aggregation of connection to the different payment rails, the ability to generate named accounts, named virtual IBANs. How, from your perspective, how do you see that infrastructure fitting into the mass adoption and into the growth plans of Bitstamp?
Yeah, I see that in two areas. So one is, as I mentioned, there's just growing demand amongst societies around the world, which gets the interest of institutions. Institutions get very, very involved, and you have, in many cases, a perfect marriage of a great product with, from crypto, let's say, with traditional financial services distribution. And when those things come together, now you have widespread accessibility and a lot of value created. But I think the other driving force is there's still gaps. There's still, despite all of the technology and innovation, sending money across borders today is still incredibly inefficient, very expensive, and there's a lot of inequity in that equation. So that's another key driver, is bringing the innovation from crypto to solve problems that exist today.
Yeah. So then what would be your advice to all the players that you see here on the floor? Of course, there are a number of very well-established companies that are well-banked, that are well set in terms of the fiat on and off ramps. But for anyone that is starting now within the crypto industry, what are the key attributes that they should be looking for in a payments partner, in an infrastructure provider, if they want to do this quickly, efficiently, and in a cost-effective way?
Yeah. Firstly, multiple jurisdictions or global. For payments, again, the challenge is doing it with different currencies in different jurisdictions, with different laws, different regulations, etc. So we value payments providers like OpenPayd that have this multi-jurisdiction approach. And then the second thing is scale, right? So the ability to handle a lot of transactions very, very efficiently. What we care about a lot at Bitstamp is that our users have a very seamless experience. And frankly, that doesn't come with every payment services provider that we've worked with. OpenPayd is an exception.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing this. And if I may just share in a few words for those of you that are not familiar with the OpenPayd platform, this is exactly what we do. So what we do for you is we would deliver through a single API access to any local or international payment rail, access to any currency of choice, and access to the ability to generate multi-currency accounts, to do FX and treasury services, to fully automate all of your back-end processes. So think about it as a single connectivity, single API for payments, for reconciliation, as well as for true embedded finance, really, because people often see payments as a utility, but actually there is more and more opportunity to use payments to create greater stickiness with your clients. And Bobby, you're one of the pioneers in that space, seeing that you can use financial services and payments and payment accounts and FX in particular to create that stickiness and to really drive real growth. So I would, from our perspective, highly recommend look at the technology first, look what really sits behind that API documentation that you're getting, and make sure that the level of regulatory compliance and relationship with banking partners and key stakeholders, key regulators, is there and is right, because these are the things that you want from your partner. These are the things that make a payment partnership really sustainable in the long run.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
You are a bridge for us between crypto world and processes and traditional banking and processes. What are you seeing on the traditional side? Is there resistance to what's happening? Is there openness and embracing of these bridges, or what do you see?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question. I think if I had to sum it up in one word, that would be change. We're seeing change. We have been coming here for several years now, but we see two major shifts, really. One, on the crypto side, we're definitely seeing an increase of the understanding of the wider environment. We see more and more talent from traditional finance coming into the crypto industry, which absolutely helps us bridge the conversation, bridge that gap, both from a regulatory as well as from a compliance perspective. The other major shift that we're seeing on the traditional finance side of things is there is now greater knowledge and greater understanding. Technical knowledge and understanding, which wasn't necessarily there 5, 6, 7 years ago. And as a result of that, It is much easier to have an educated conversation about the direction of travel of regulation, the direction of travel of compliance, and how the two worlds can actually converge and work better together in a seamless way from a technical perspective, but also in a fully integrated way from a compliance and regulatory perspective. So we're definitely seeing that maturity of both the industry, but as well maturity of the understanding on the regulatory side. And frankly, that is something that we as the infrastructure provider that sits in the middle, as the bridge, as you say, welcome very much, because that makes our role in terms of educating regulators, educating banking partners much easier as well. I'm just conscious of time and wanted to ask you, do you see a path to mass adoption? And if you do, what are the key elements that are required to support that mass adoption?
Yeah, there's quite a few dimensions here, but I would highlight a couple of things. So firstly, I have to remind myself, and we all should remind ourselves, that crypto in developed economies and developed parts of the world is and can be quite recreational. It's all opportunity, and it's fun. But in other jurisdictions and more developing nations or economically challenged nations, it's a lifeline. You know, if you think about Venezuela and some economies where you can't trust the institutions, you know, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies really plays a crucial role in people being able to manage and sustain their life in a meaningful way. So the first thing is mass adoption. We all have to recognize that this isn't just for fun. And the second thing is regulation. So I won't take any more time on that, but we've got to get a little bit clearer, a little bit better on that in several jurisdictions, such as the US.
Great, thank you. And if you had to sum it up, what is the future of crypto looking like over the next 10 years?
You know, the word that comes to mind for me is inclusivity, you know, or inclusion, just providing easy, you know, fair, equitable access to different ways to manage your money, participate in new opportunities or ecosystems. This is what I think will keep the large global banks on the traditional side in check a little bit and making sure they're serving the needs of the citizens and of the customers.
Great. Thank you so much, Bobby, for being with us today. So if you are interested in talking about easy, fair access, please do come and talk to Bobby. Bitstamp, the most regulated exchange in the world. And if you want to talk about fiat on and off-ramp and payments infrastructure, please do come and find us. Both Bobby and I will be on the floor for the rest of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.